So I've been living in Mexico City now for about a year and a half, on and off. I really love living here. Obviously, I wouldn't still be here. There's a lot of reasons that I love living in Mexico City, so I thought I would chit chat about why I love living in Mexico City and why sometimes it's not the best place. But I just wanted to preface this by saying that no city is perfect. I've lived in a lot of cities in several different countries, and all of them have had something that wasn't my ideal, like, perfect thing, but there's always like a reason to love somewhere. And so take these with a pinch of salt. These are all just my personal opinion, and you know, nothing is totally serious. So just gonna put that disclaimer out there. One of the reasons that I love living in Mexico City is that compared to pretty much any other city that I've ever lived in, Mexico City's cost of living is incredibly low. Of course, like, it's relative to a lot of the wages that people earn here, but as an outsider who's earning in dollars, for me, I live in Mexico City for very low rent, very cheap bills. I go out to eat a lot. I can get incredibly delicious fresh produce from my local market for really cheap. Going out to drink, like at local bars, is really cheap. There are also places in Mexico City where you can go where it's not cheap. You know, if you want to go and shop at the big grocery stores and live in a really plush apartment in the center of the city, like in Roma or Condesa, and you want to go to like really, not fancy, but like, you know, you want to go to like, you know, the cooler bars in Roma and Condesa, you will spend more. It's sometimes even more expensive, those places, than it would be in places like the US. But day to day, Mexico City is much cheaper. I can earn less here than I do living in New York or Sydney, and still have a better quality of life here. Yeah. Another reason that I love Mexico City is that the food is amazing. The food is so good. The quality of the produce that you buy at the farmers markets, the street food, the food at restaurants. I've literally never had a bad meal in Mexico City. And yeah, it's just, I mean, the tacos, like, I can't even talk about it. The third reason that I love living in Mexico City is the weather. It is literally my ideal climate. So for about 5 months of the year, from June until this year, it was until like late October, it rains like every single day. Some days it just is cloudy and chilly. Some days it's really hot in the morning and then it just pours with rain at night. So it's really like, it varies, but it's still warm. It's not cold. It's not like freezing cold. It probably drops the lowest, like it was kind of chilly in September, down to like the mid 60s or something. And then after that, so now like November was just amazing. The weather was incredible. December, it's a little bit chillier, but still blue skies, so sunny. And it never really drops below during the day. It doesn't really drop below 65 degrees. At night, it gets a little bit chillier. It's about 55, maybe 50 degrees. Of course, there are some days where it's colder than that and some days where it's much hotter than that. But it's like spring year round. I love the temperature. I'm never like sweating, dripping sweat like you would be in like Tulum or Cancun. But I'm also not like freezing. It's just not, I love it. It's the perfect climate. The fourth reason that I love living in Mexico City is the history and the culture. It's just incredible what you have at your fingertips here. Like the Aztec history, like learning all about Tenochtitlan and like the city that Mexico City sits on, learning about you know, the Mesoamerican culture, about the Spanish occupation, and the fact that there's a castle here. It's the only castle in North America where like real royalty has ever lived, and I always thought that was really cool. Like, but little pockets of things: Templo Mayor, the Anthropology Museum, Teotihuacan, of course. Like, there's just so much history and so much culture. It's just, yeah, I'm constantly learning something new here, and I love that. The fifth reason that I love living in Mexico City is because it's super easy and inexpensive to travel around the rest of the country from Mexico City. So there's 4 bus terminals, there's an airport, they're building another airport, there's a metro system that can get you around to everywhere for really cheap, but I find it really inexpensive to take buses and to find flights like to Cancun or to Oaxaca or to Veracruz. Like, it's really great, and I love being able to explore the rest of Mexico and having easy access back into the US when I want to visit family and friends. The sixth reason that I love living in Mexico City is that Mexicans love a good party. My neighbors like will throw parties on a Wednesday night. I've been places where people literally shut like their street down and have a street party. You know, clubs will be open until 6 o'clock in the morning some nights. People are just out for a good time, and like I love the attitude of like people just wanting to have a good party. It doesn't matter what we're celebrating, we're gonna have a party for it. The seventh reason that I love living in Mexico City, and I guess something that you could have in a lot of places, but for me, like I've really enjoyed in Mexico, is being able to speak Spanish and hear Spanish every single day without even spending too much time studying. I'm absorbing a lot of the language. I'm learning new vocabulary. I'm learning new tenses. And okay, it's probably not as quick as I thought it was going to be, and it's certainly more difficult than I imagined, but it's a great challenge, and I really love like when I've mastered a certain thing where I can handle a situation that I couldn't previously handle. It's really cool to be able to be immersed in the language. And I find that Mexicans in Mexico City particularly are incredibly patient, they're very understanding. Many people don't speak English, so they're very patient with my like fumbling, and they help, and no one's like switching to English or getting impatient or getting annoyed like I've had experience with in certain other countries with language. So yeah. And the eighth reason that I love living in Mexico City is I love all of the different neighborhoods. It's literally like having like 10 different cities inside the city. Coyoacan is great for like history and for relaxing in the sun and doing some shopping and eating. Condesa is great for strolling the park, for fancy dinners, for good street food. Rome is great for a night out, for good pizza. You know, the Centro Historico is packed with history and museums, and also more amazing tacos. I mean, it's endless. There are so many different places to explore in the city, and I'm, after a year and a half, still finding new neighborhoods that I've never heard of, or you know, places that are just totally new to me. And it's a really exciting city to live in. I love that about it. So now on to a few of the things that I don't love about Mexico City. Now these are my like own experiences. Obviously, I'm sure people who have lived here before, who are better at Spanish, who are from here, have totally different experiences to me. And that's cool, like that's totally fine. These are just a few things that niggle at me and that I wish maybe would be a little bit different. So the first thing that gets on my nerves about Mexico City and where I live in Mexico is that it's really hard to recycle. So you can buy these big water bottles and use the water, return it, and then they refill them for you. That's great. And the same thing with these really big beer bottles. You know, you return them and they get refilled at the factory, and you're recycling. But if you go out and you buy a plastic bottle to drink water while you're out for the day, or you have glass jars that, you know, from food that you bought from the grocery store, God forbid, like you still get styrofoam, like there's nowhere to dispose of these things in my neighborhood. So yeah, that's a big annoyance to me, because I would really like to be able to recycle. The second thing that sometimes annoys me, but that I've gotten a little bit used to now, is the noise. There is literally constant noise in Mexico City, all the time. There's the man ringing the bell with the garbage, there's the man coming around with the tamales, there's the guy who blows the steam whistle like ear-piercingly loud for sweet potatoes. I mean, it's just the horns honking, the drag racing sounds at night, the dogs barking, the milk van shouting about leche, like it is endless. And I have learned to cope with it in a lot of ways, but there's also times when I just lose my mind. The third thing that is really a pain about Mexico City, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with this, is the traffic. The traffic is abysmal. If you're trying to get in and out of the city center from where I live in Satellite, or you're like trying to get from one end of the city to the other, anytime during rush hour, pretty much any day during the week, Monday to Friday, like it's like you're sitting still, literally. I've never experienced traffic like it before, and I've lived in some other major cities. I've certainly never lived in a city with, you know, upwards of 22 million people in a metropolitan area before, but yeah, you just can't get anywhere on time. You have to give yourself like 2 hours to get 10 miles, and it's headache inducing. And the fourth reason why sometimes I get annoyed with my beloved Mexico City is just that people are so laid back. Mostly I love that, right? I hate the hustle and bustle of like big cities like New York and London where everyone's like so self-important and they need like to get where they're going because they're so busy. It is like the total opposite here in a lot of ways. Like when you need a plumber or you need someone to come and fix your door, which I had the other day, like you need someone to fix a pothole, you need a light bulb, you need to cancel your Wi-Fi, you need to get a new one. It's just like getting things done is like, don't worry, we'll get it done. We'll be there. No problem. Great, except I get very impatient. It certainly taught me a lot about patience and a lot about just being able to like let go and let things happen. But sometimes like when my toilet is leaking all over the floor or like there's a gas leak on the stove, like I can't handle people thinking that it's okay to take so long. So yeah, obviously a lot more reasons to love Mexico City than there are to dislike Mexico City. I love this city. I don't see myself leaving in the near future. So let me know in the comments, what do you love about Mexico City? What questions do you have about living here? And what niggles you about this amazing place every now and again? Thanks guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye.